Okay, welcome back with the Union USA moves for turn one. So, where we left off here, Anderson's units had moved up and engaged, did some shooting over here, scored a few hits. Now it's for the Union response. And just going through the sequence of play, uh, we're basically right here at the alternating or second player, and then we'll go into the alternating. But seeing as the Confederates don't have any more to activate, it'll just be the Union. So the Union can activate two brigades for this particular activation, and we'll do Detroit and Burling, and we'll go with Detroit first over here. So we'll activate these guys. We'll go with the 17th Maine, our good old 17th Maine here. That is holding the wall. Now they're about to be flanked, so I think what I'm going to do with these guys, let's move these markers back a little bit, is we are going to have them turn like so. All right, now they just executed a move activation, so that can trigger the 59th over here to actually take a shot at them, which they're going to do. Um, so it's going to be at close or point blank range. That's going to start us off at 30%, as we see up here. 30%. It's over a stone wall, so it's going to subtract 10%, so it's down to 20. And I think that's about it. So it's going to be 20 or less on the dice. Rolls a 19. That's a hit. 10 and 9. That is a hit. That's just a straight hit, which is a disrupted. Leaves them disrupted, so they'll just take a hit over there. So, and pivot back like that. So that's their first activation. They still have two activations left. So now with those activations, they're going to actually shoot back at them. So one is going to be the actual shooting, and then the second volley. So that's going to put us on 30% as well, because it's point blank range. Over the wall and into woods. Now woods will get canceled by the second volley, so it's going to be a minus 10, and that's going to give us on the 20%. Again, reroll. Ooh, close, 28. Just a miss. So that is all for that unit. Now we'll move along to the 17th right there. They'll take a shot at the 59th over here. There's going to be no moving, just straight shooting. So all three actions. So it's initial fire plus two extra volleys. So that's going to start us off at 30 plus two extra volleys at 60. And then for the woods, it breaks down to 45 again. And then for the stonewall, down to 35. So here we go. Rolls a 33. That's a hit. So they will take a hit. Excuse my arm there, like that. And then we come down to the last one over here of the 17th. And they don't have anybody to shoot at, so they can't shoot anything. Could move them up, but that doesn't really get us anything except closer to these guys who could shoot at us and cause some damage. So I think we'll leave them right there. So that's all for the 17th. We'll put the hit on these guys, which is going to be a added one disruption to the 59th. And we have it from there. So 17th holding the wall here. As I mentioned, just a little bit of the regimental history on them. They had their first battle was actually the Battle of Fredericksburg. Now they didn't actually go up against Mary's Heights and the stone wall up there. They were actually down as support for Meade's attack against Hamilton Crossing. And in that general area there, they did engage. They did take casualties there. It was their first casualties or first engagement where they were actually in battle. But they were mainly from a distance. Like I said, they were supporting. But they did take, I think they said 17 casualties. I think those were wounds. from, firing and sniping across the fields there as well. So that was their first engagement. That's kind of interesting because they were cited in their in General Barry's after action reports back to headquarters as being as holding line very well and doing their jobs very well despite being a green unit with their being first in battle. So talk about a little bit more of that later, but I just wanted to give you that little nugget while we were on the 17th, engaging them here at Gettysburg. Now we'll move along to 5th Michigan and the 110th over here. I think with this, I've been thinking about this a little bit. What we're going to do is with the 5th Michigan, we'll start them first. Now they will start with the second one, the lower one here. And they'll have 3 movement points. Now what they're going to do is actually move this way, and that's called a sidle move. Costs 2 actions. So they're down to 1. Now they can be fired upon by this unit because they moved into there. So we're going to do that. So it's going to be an opportunity fire. It's going to be at point blank range, so it's going to be 30. But they are going to get a -5 for being disrupted, so back down to 25. So let's get that. And they roll a 97. Oh, that's not good because that's going to get them a disruption for low ammo. So that hurt them more than it hurt the Union. So they go disrupted 2. And now we'll finish these guys off. Now they moved over a creek, so that requires us to take a disruption unless they redress. So they can either shoot back at these guys point blank or with -1, or they can redress. I think they're going to redress so that they're going to be in good shape or stay in good shape. Michigan, the other half of the Michigan is going to fire against the 8th Georgia over here. They've got 3 activations, so all 3 are going to be fires. They're going to be the initial plus 2 extra volleys. So it'll be 30% plus extra 15. 2 extra 15s makes it 60%. And they're shooting at these guys here, so they are in the open. So it's a 60% shot. Ooh, this could be bad. They roll, but not as bad as we thought. They roll an 83, which is a miss. No casualties. All right, so that's all of the 5th Michigan here. Now, we're also going to get the 110th moving here as well. Now, they've got 3 activations. Put that up there. They're going to pivot for 1, pivot for 2, and then move forward for 3. Now, what this will do is kind of protect their flank a little bit, but because they're a different regiment, they're not. This flank is still open on the 5th Michigan, and the same thing for the Pennsylvanians over here. So it's a little dangerous, but we'll see how that works. It's better than where they were and leaving this flank open over here. So that is all for Detrobrand, his brigade. We'll move him to activated. Now, we're going to have some help over here too. So we're going to do Burling next. And we'll take the 115th Pennsylvania. They're going to move up 1. They've got 2 activations. I should put my dice out here again. 2 activations. They're going to move up for 1. And then they're going to redress for 2 up there. And these guys will do the same thing. They'll move up for 1 and redress for 2. So that puts them in a position of support over here and kind of closes this gap a little bit. If the Confederates try to get in there, there's going to be some shooting. And it'll be a little bit tricky for them to get in there. Okay, so that's all of those 2 activations. So technically, we have, going back to our sequence of play, finished for the 2nd activation, and now we're going to the alternating back and forth. Now the Confederates don't have anything to do because they don't have any more brigades. So it's back over to the Union, which we're going to activate the units that are coming off board over here, like so. Okay, and what's going to happen with them is they've got maneuvers. So now, starting off with Tilton, they've got maneuvers. So they start at 2 for action points, but they've got their leader with them, stacked with them. That's 3, and then they're on the road for 4. So they're going to get 4 activation points, and they're going to be used. There we go. To move up the road. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maneuver makes 5. Yeah, actually they have 5 because there's in maneuver mode they get an extra 1 there too. So I don't know if we'll use them all, but they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, like that, and wind up here. I'm not using the 5th one, and I'll show you why here in a second. Because the second unit's coming up here, they're going to get 2, start at 2. Then they're going to get a free 1 for being in maneuver, so that's 3, and on the road for 4. They're only going to get 4, but they have to come in sequentially. So they're actually going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. And the same thing is going to happen with the 1st Michigan like that. So they actually wind up like this. And these guys wind up over here as well. This is Schweitzer coming in too. So they will wind up in line like this, and the rest of them stacking up in line like that as well. So that's kind of fairly easy for this particular turn, getting those guys coming in. So that's the end of the second activation for the Union. And then we don't have any more. Everybody's activated. Well, actually, I strike that. We do have the guns over here. So there'll be a third. It'd be third activation for Confederates, nothing to activate. Third activation for the Union. The guns. They don't have much to do. I could move them up a little bit, but I want to leave room for these guys to maneuver over here. So I'm not necessarily gonna move the guns up here, because actually moving through here would be moving through the Wheatfield, I should say, might be a little tricky for them, because they get 4 activations coming off of there. So and they are unlimbered, so they'd have to limber up, or they could just be pushed forward like this. Gets them a little bit closer, but I think we'll leave them back there. I don't want to lose them, and I'd rather have this be more of an infantry fight with them as well. So there we have it. That's pretty much all of the activations for the turn. So we're coming down to now the mutual close combat. Now with close combat, we haven't had any of that yet. We're not going to have any of this turn, because we need to engage in close combat. We've got to be able to charge, and to charge we have to have an assault order. Right there, you can see charge. So we don't have any assaults, so there's no close combat at this point. We may see it next turn, but not this turn. So we move on, and the next thing is the mutual rally phase. And what this does is to try to recover any units that are in severe disruption, meaning they're at disruption level 6. They'll need to take a cohesion test to see if they stay around or can recover. And also we've got to check on shattered formations, but we don't have any of those there. Those happen as part of a close combat. So we don't have any of that, so we're moving on to the end of the turn. So that is the end of the 5 a.m. turn. We'll move on, or 4:45 turn. We'll move on to the 5 p.m. turn, and have that for you on the next round. So one last thing I just want to put up over here, and I may put up some more details. With the 17th Maine, I talked about them being at Fredericksburg a little bit, kind of getting their first taste of combat with it, and actually doing fairly well, despite not being in heavy combat. After Fredericksburg, they retreated back across the river with the rest of the army, and basically sat there until spring, or through the winter, I should say, not until spring, but through the winter. And they did participate in Burnside's Mud March. In fact, they were very key to the Mud March that they that he had initiated in the winter. They provided a lot of advanced units, skirmishers, pickets out in front of this, and they documented a number of times that they were literally stuck in the mud, both as a regiment and individually there as well. It put quite the experience into these these troops' minds as part of this. It was very cold, very wet, very icy, just miserable conditions that they lived in. Many of them were quite distraught, not distraught, but very upset at the whole thing that this they would have this type of march in the middle of winter, and put a little bit of a stain into them. Gave them more seasoned abilities in there, but there's a number of different commentaries about leadership, particularly Burnside, from them that is documented in their histories there. I won't repeat some of them. They're a little colorful from what I found, but very interesting to read about that. So, and then they moved on after that to participate in the Chancellorsville campaign, which I'll bring up on next time we're talking about that. That has a little bit more detail in terms of what they did. And then, of course, once we get to the Gettysburg piece after Chancellorsville, that will get interesting there too. So that's where we're at with the Union. And I hope you're enjoying this. We're moving on to the 5 a.m. turn, and we'll see how Anderson attacks progress, and we'll see how the Union defense holds out here. Just notice one thing I've got to do here, just flip over counters, leader counters back to their fresh side so that they can be activated the next turn, like so, and up here and over here. So again, if you're liking the videos, please like us, subscribe, and please leave a comment. Love to see the comments, and we'll see you on the next one.